as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King, and it's a pleasure to be at the Radio Television Marbella studios once again to bring you our program, English Language Interviews, so you can meet community members that could be helpful to you just for a social life, maybe for business, or for a cause of charity that is close to your heart and an opportunity to volunteer and help. Always a great way to meet new people. Starting off the show this week, I'm delighted to welcome to the program Grace McNabola. McNabola. We talked about 1,000 times how to say it. McNabola. Is that right, Grace?
Yeah.
Where's that surname from?
Well, actually, it's Irish and Spanish.
So I'm not so wrong, because it would be Nabola in Spanish.
Yeah.
And that's why I couldn't work out, get my brain around it. So you have English, Spanish parents?
Well, no. It's way back. I'm trying to research the ancestry. We think it goes back to the Armada, when they were wrecked off the coast of Ireland, because hola is wave in Spanish.
Right.
But it's a bit fanciful, but I'm busy doing a bit of research.
No, it's nice to actually find out, and I think it's something perhaps that comes with age as well, because I've also recently got far more interested in my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and just, I think, to pass on that information so it doesn't get forgotten.
Yes, that's right. It's good fun.
Well, a big congratulations, because you are now the chairwoman of the Art Society of Ben Avis. We've interviewed James Kyle, who has been the president till now, but it's lovely that you've taken over. How has it been, your initiation?
Well, it was a bit of an initiation of fire, because, as you know, the pandemic hit us in March, and we had to cancel all our lectures because the venue was closed. So since then, we've been doing everything via Zoom, which is, initially, it was a big deal for people. But now, believe it or not, people are so used to using it, speaking to their family, that aren't in Spain, that it's second nature for them. So we've actually had nearly 60 people rejoin the society, which is almost 2/3 of our membership from last year, which is great news.
It is great news. And I found also, at first, I was quite nervous about continuing the program via Zoom. I thought it would be very impersonal. However, my personal experience has been that I've got to know people far better. You have more time to talk, as opposed to before they come on the show and then they'd have to rush off. Now everyone has that bit more time. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised in that aspect.
Yeah, it's years ago it was unheard of, and now it's needs must, really. And we want to give the members some content for their membership. So fortunately, all the lecturers we've had booked can do Zoom lectures and are quite proficient at doing that. In fact, we had one last night who was brilliant. And as you say, at the end, you can have an interaction, you can ask questions, coming on and off the screen. The lecturers are now quite polished at using it. So, it's definitely something that when things return to normal, we might even consider, doing something like that again.
It definitely helps a lot more people get involved that otherwise couldn't perhaps physically be there. I think it's a great opportunity for us to broaden our horizons personally.
Yeah. I mean, every cloud has a silver lining, doesn't it, really? Who would have thought, this time last year, normally the lecturers come over from the UK, we host them overnight, we take them out for a nice meal, they meet the members and the committee, and it's great. As they say, it's a great gig to get. But of course, that's all now impossible because of the travel restrictions. So they Zoom into your living room, as it were, in the evening instead.
How has it been for you, Grace, during lockdown?
Well, actually, on a personal level, it's been quite tough because we own our own business, and with my other hat on, we have children's rides that we take to ferries. Well, of course, the 1st of April, they cancelled all the ferries completely throughout Andalusia, or throughout Spain, I would imagine, and we've no idea when they will be back. I mean, if the Spanish have got anything to do with it, they will move mountains to get the farriers back. But at the moment, it's just impossible.
And just who would have ever thought that there would be none of our typical farriers going on? It's been, I think, for the Spanish people, perhaps one of the biggest tragedies of the COVID is that all those wonderful festivals that go on and the celebrations and how much it means to them and the families and everything, the preparation, that none of that is going to be happening. And obviously it looks like the same situation for the Christmas season.
Oh, absolutely. Christmas is cancelled, really. We used to do an indoor feria in Granada. Well, Granada's in complete lockdown, and there was just no chance it was going to happen anyway, given, what's gone before it. So, like everybody, we're just hoping for, positive news next year with the vaccine, a good distribution, a good uptake, and then things will slowly get back to some kind of normality.
Well, I certainly hope so. And in the meanwhile, it's fabulous to have associations like the Art Society of Benavides. Give us a little bit of an idea, for those of us who've never heard of it, what is the ethos behind the association, and what are the types of talks that you were mentioning before that you organise?
Well, just very briefly, in a nutshell, we were founded in 1965, I think, by a lady in London, and it was a Decorative and Fine Arts Society. But then 2 or 3 years ago, we got rebranded just to be the Art Society, because it was felt that Decorative and Fine Arts was a little bit elitist. It didn't really reflect what we are. And basically, we're just people that like art, whatever you want to call it, fine art, music, dance, opera, ballet, whatever you want to call it. And we have lectures on those topics every month, between September and May every year. So that's our season, as it were. We don't do anything in the summer. We don't do anything at Christmas. So people come along, they join as a member, they can come as a visitor. And, for example, we have lectures. I'm just going to look at my little list. We have lectures on Picasso, Salvador Dali. We've had a lecture on Andy Warhol. We've had a lecture on Nelson. We've had a lecture on,
I know last year you did some great ones on Spanish poets and writers.
Yes,
and
we've done some lovely Spanish ones, because, it's our adopted country and people do want to know a lot more about Spain. So when we can, we have 2 or 3 lectures a year on a Spanish topic. Goya, it's endless. There's so many subjects you can choose. There's probably about 200 lecturers on the Art Society database, and every year in March, couldn't do it this year, but every year normally I go to London and choose lecturers for the following season.
it really is a great setup, and it's nice to see that there's such a community within the association, crossing, even, as you say, even countries, with that, the sharing of the lecturers and the different talks and the infrastructure. Yeah.
I was just going to say, what's nice at the moment, you saying about sharing, there's quite a few societies in Europe. The majority of them are in the UK, but they are in New Zealand and Australia, and believe it or not, Penang as well. But what we've managed to do because of the lockdown, because of the restrictions, I've been able to view lectures from, say, Richmond Art Society, or something that's going on in Berlin, or, and it's great that you actually think to look at their lectures. You'd never bother normally because you couldn't go there in person. But now that the internet has opened it all up, that's, an added bonus, really.
Undoubtedly. How did you come to be here on the Costa del Sol, Grace?
Well, we came here about 11 years ago now to run a B&B business for golfers, because we're both clean golfers, and we had bought a big villa, had it set up for swimming pool, pool table, bar for the golfers when they came, and that was fine. It was great in the spring and great in the autumn, but in the summer they didn't come because they're obviously on holiday with their families. So then we used to rent the villa out in its entirety in the summer and just move out to my little friend's casita, which was very convenient. But then the recession came, and people were just getting cheap holidays. They didn't really want a fully catered villa. They wanted to just pay their way, buy their own, stay in a flat, for example, in Fuengirola, and just feed themselves and pay their own golf. So we thought, well, we'll get out of that. And long story short, my husband went to China to buy one thing and came back with another completely different thing.
And is that the kids' rides for the fairs?
That's the kids' rides, yes. They're virtual reality. So they basically put on a headset and they can be playing shooting monsters, going down a roller coaster, they've got a little joystick. It's between the ages of, I would say, 5 and 15.
Can they also be adapted for like taking to kids' birthday parties or
Yes,
well,
we
even
do
not a
that.
party, but now that they can't really have parties, it could be a fun way to have something special going on.
Yes, we do. We take them to communions, events, children's parties. We used to have them in a shopping centre, but that was a bit of a no-no because children only come after 4 o'clock in the afternoon and at weekends, and we had to hire the spot for the whole week. So that was just really not going to work. And it's expensive in shopping centres as well. You pay a premium for that little spot. So, yeah, the farriers were a natural, so I forget. We went to a farrier once and we said, I think our machines would do quite well here, and the children loved them. So that's what happened.
And I suppose you had to, I mean, how did you even know to get in contact to get the licenses? And because all that's kind of
Listen,
complicated.
I tell you what, Nicole, my Spanish has improved leaps and bounds because you go to a farrier, nobody speaks English. And also, we don't even go to the big ones like Malaga, Torremolinos, Fuengirola, because they're difficult to get into. We end up in Cadiz area because they love us up there. And of course, Andaluz is amazing. And you get little words, and you have to do the paperwork, but once you've done it once or twice, then you know what's required, you know where to go to pay for the electric, you know where to go to pay for the spot you've got, all the legislation and the the certificates you need for the machines that have to be renewed. So it's a learning curve really, but they like us up there, we like being up there. So, it's different. I didn't think I'd be doing this at my age. It is different.
I mean, I imagine when he came back, you wanted to divorce him or something. It's like you sent Jack out for some, to buy something. He came back with beans.
Well, he was sold them. They did a good selling job, the Chinese. And of course, the Chinese are, where you go, he went to Guangzhou, which is a big, big business area. And he says they're all so young. They're all like 25 and they all speak English. And we've had good support from them. I mean, the machines are not perfect. They're basically computers under each seat. And as you know, computers can throw a wobbly anytime. So we've had some interesting WeChats, which is their version of WhatsApp, interesting WeChats with them in the middle of the ferry when one of the machines goes down.
But nice to know that they're still there on the other end of the phone, because that could have been different.
They are. And given the time difference, sometimes it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But they are there. They've been very good, actually. But then you need to know what you're asking them. So as our knowledge has improved, then what we ask them, they've kind of taught us, if you like. So we can now fix things on our own a lot of the time.
Oh, it's lovely to see people branching out into such a wide range of activities. If you'd have asked me to guess what you did, that would never have been it, I have to say. There's such elegance to start with. You wouldn't just imagine, like carting around in a fair. Far more suited to chairman of the Art Society of Benavides. What can people expect coming up from now to the end of the year, if anything? Are you still doing your talks online? Can people join?
Yes, well, we've had our last lecture for the season. We don't have anything in December, but every year in February for the last 6 years, we've had an enormous art exhibition at the Grand Hotel in the village, and it's called Art in Action. And all the local artists would come, exhibit their artwork. There were bands there was children's entertainment. In fact, I took one of our machines up there last year for the children. There was a children's painting workshop, and there was the young artist competition as part of the bigger thing. Well, this year, the hotel's shut indefinitely. The artists I've tried to contact them, but a lot of them are scattered. They're just looking for work wherever it is. So it's not going to be possible. So what we've done instead is we're still having the Young Arts competition on its own. And the winner of that, there's 4 international schools involved in that, altogether about 250 students. And for the first time this year, the local Spanish primary school in Benavides Village is getting involved. They have been given the subject of saving the planet, and they're making a sculpture on that theme out of recycled plastic or cartons or anything they can find, because Spanish schools don't have an art department and they don't have the resources to buy art materials. So for them, that's an ideal topic. The other schools do have designated art competitions, and their piece of work that's produced is one of our lecture topics for next year. So that goes on the front of our brochure every year. So they're used to doing that. But the school, the Daydin, the Spanish school, this is the first year we've had them on board, and we're so pleased because children love art. You know, the art workshop for the Spanish children at the normal exhibition was absolutely mobbed. So it's just great to be able to bring that to them. Absolutely.
A fabulous incentive. I've been there myself. Well worthwhile, and I'm sure whatever you do online will be great, and it's lovely to get the kids involved. Grace, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. I've really enjoyed our catch-up.
Thank you, Nicole. It's lovely to see you. You're always so bubbly and happy.
Well, it's like I meet nice people, and that's a pleasure, I have to say. I'm lucky to have the job that I do and get to meet people like yourself and share information that people really do want to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
My absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in person soon, or if not, by Zoom.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Thank you, Grace. Well, we're going to go... Bye-bye. We're going to go now to some messages from our sponsors and also to hear our Zero Hero partners telling you to come and visit them because they're giving free soft drinks to designated drivers.
Judy likes to consider herself a clever young woman, which is why she thought very carefully before choosing her insurance company. Now that she needs it, she's jolly glad she chose Linear Director, as it looks as if she might have something better to do. Why don't you be clever, like Judy? Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 and see which policy is best for you.
When I'm the designated driver, I think it's only fair that I get to choose a Zero Hero venue that rewards me with free soft drinks. My friends all get to choose and booze, and they feel safe going home with me. Make sure that you get your reward for being the designated driver. Why pay if you don't have to?
Zero Hero, welcome to the playwright.
Hello guys, welcome to Harbor. All the designated drivers are welcome here to the Harbor. And we are very proud to be a Zero Hero partner.
G-Wine is happy to be Zero Hero partner.
Glad
are proud to present Zero to Hero. Never drink and drive.
Yes, I mean, do you think that...
McNulty's is proud to be a Zero Hero partner.
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the Zero Hero campaign. And we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the Zero Hero program.
To finish today's programme, I'm going to take you over to the Small World Cafe because that's where Cindy Barnes held her latest Grapevine luncheon. Cindy's been holding these luncheons for over 20 years and they are really a great get-together, lovely people, always with a nice speaker. The speaker this time was Kezia, and we're going to go over to have a check out, see the ladies there and have a quick chat with Kezia, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Let the music get to your
glamorous table here. And I want this jacket. I want it for me. You're always so glamorous. Beautiful ladies. Absolutely wonderful.
I said about you last week. I really didn't know it was you. But we saw.
So glamorous, beautiful. And that's why I come to the Grapevine Luncheons. Because, and here you have our ex-model, Sandy D. And her baby girl. And Janice. And our lovely Amaka. Grapevine Lunches organised by our fabulous Cindy Barnes, hiding behind her beautiful golden locks, and a Small World Cafe in Mars, organising the best lunches, and our lovely Angela from Choir. Hello, sweetheart, my favourite people. And look at you. Like, everyone's blonde here. No, thank God I turned blonde. And the wonderful staff here at Small World Cafe, and the head table here.
And on this side.
The only gentleman, I believe, in the room, you lucky boy. And our speaker today, and we'll be having a private chat with her in just a moment. And here we are with Cindy Barnes, the wonderful Grapevine girl herself. Cindy, I don't go to many events, but yours, when I can, are a must. Here at Small World Cafe today, a lovely turnout in spite of the current situation.
Yes, we are following all of the rules, keeping our distance between the tables. The restaurant has very strict rules. And we are, as you said, Small World Cafe. This is our third lunch here. The food has been exceptional. We are so happy with everything. We love our new venue. And we've had some great speakers. We've had fashion shows. And today's talk was all about finding your purpose in life, especially during this lockdown period. So many people are lost. So many people are sad, lonely, depressed. And there's no need. You need to be positive. Turn it around. Write that book that you've always wanted to write. Spend time with your family and friends. Phone people. Mend relationships. There's just so much that is positive about life. And we just need to follow the rules. It's hard, but we need to follow the rules, and the sun will eventually shine. And I'm saying that on a day where it's raining, and we've got another lot of rain for the next 10 days. But anyway, Nicole, thank you for joining us today. It's always lovely to have you at one of the Grapevine Lunches.
Well, I love coming. It's always a wonderful group of women. How many years now have you been running your Grapevine Girl Lunches?
Gosh, I think you came to the 20th anniversary, so it must be about 23 years now.
That's what I was counting in the cars. I can't believe I was flying.
Life goes in the blink of an eye, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, but you've been here for many years, you've got many friends, and that's very satisfying, because basically that's what Marbella is about, isn't it? It's making good friends and that support of the resident community.
Exactly. It's so international. You get to meet people from all over the world. Not a boring moment to be had.
Well, thank you so much for letting me join you all. Lovely as always, and I can't wait to have a little chat with Kezia.
Great. Thanks again.
I'm sitting now with Kezia Kaur. She's been giving a talk today at the Grapevine Luncheon here at the Small World Cafe. I just asked Kezia what her surname is, and she said Kaur, K-A-U-R, and then launched on this beautiful story about what it means, princess, and then she's you tell me, darling, because it was beautiful.
Okay, so my background is I'm from India, and I'm a Sikh, and all Sikh women have Kaur in their middle name, and men have Singh, and basically Kaur means princess, and Singh means warrior or lion. And one of the reasons I think that the women have been given Kaur, that it's one of the, I think, only Eastern religions where women are never considered second-class citizens. In fact, fathers, brothers, husbands, men in general, your sons, they adore their women. We're not covered up. We're encouraged to wear the most beautiful fabrics. We're encouraged to be educated. We're encouraged to be our very best. We also are taught to be feminine, and really not try to be a man. Let the men be the men and you be super feminine. It doesn't mean that you can't be independent. It doesn't mean you can't have a career. It doesn't mean you're not intelligent. You can be all of that, but embrace the woman that you are.
That is beautiful, and I think if that was made a specific point in all cultures, we'd all be a lot better off.
Absolutely. I've always liked blue and pink. I love that men do the blue jobs and women do the pink, and then occasionally you overlap. You know, some of the best chefs are men, so of course that pink job goes, you know. But I think it's wonderful when a woman, a strong woman, she's, you know, vibrant, she could be head of a company, she's CEO, but she's also super feminine. You don't need to become a man. Let the men be the men, because most women, we want that romance. We want men to open our doors for us. We want them to not necessarily always be the provider, but at least that person we can depend on, and they depend on us too. So even though with the modern woman and the 80s and the 90s and, you know, the big shoulder pads and us wearing suits, it's wonderful. But I think it did destroy a little bit the thing about women staying feminine and men also knowing how to treat us. So perhaps it's time now to go back to the blue and pink and allow the men to be men and the women to be women.
We don't have to be man-like in order to be capable or valued.
Absolutely not. We have enough value, and a real gentleman, he knows that. So he will treasure you for exactly who you are.
That's absolutely fabulous. In your talk today, I love the part about the 3 A's, and one was accepting, and then adjusting, and then accommodating.
Yeah.
The first one's very hard. Taking the first step in anything is always the biggest challenge.
Absolutely. And this is something I've taught well over 25 years. And honestly, until we accept something, we cannot actually move on. So acceptance for anything. For example, if one gets divorced, you have to accept. If you lose your job, you have to accept. If you like with this pandemic, we had to accept. Before you can actually do another thing, acceptance has to be there. One of the things I work a lot with is divorce, relationships, but also bereavement. And if we take bereavement, for example, and use the 3 A's, so imagine someone's been married for 30, 40, 50 years. That's very, very hard. You've had a unit, you've had your family, and your partner passes away. So one of the things we have to do is accept that the other person now has gone to a beautiful other place, but still they're not physically here. So that can take time. It's not something overnight, and it shouldn't be either. But until you get to acceptance, you can't really go to adjusting. So the one thing I really say to people, work on how you accept. Take time to accept, because it is a new normal for you, whether it's a divorce situation or a death or a change of a country, or for a lot of women, when children leave home, you have the empty nest syndrome. So again, suddenly for 20 years, 18 years, you've had the kids, you're super busy, and then suddenly it's just you and your husband, and it's a quiet house. So a lot of acceptance has to come there, and with that becomes a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of insecurity. So that's why acceptance is key, and I teach a lot about how to do that.
Absolutely fabulous, because as you say, various situations, but it's the same thing. It comes down to the sense of loss.
Yes, absolutely. And once we can accept that this is now our natural way of being, whatever the situation is, we then go to adjust. So for example, if we use again bereavement, so you've lost your partner or you've lost somebody that you're really close with, how do you adjust? So if it was someone you were married to for a really long time in a happy marriage, the adjustment is now that you are not part of a couple. So you're going to have to adjust to going to places alone. You're going to perhaps have to do all the paperwork. Perhaps your husband was the one that did all the bills and paid everything. So there's an adjustment with that. There's an adjustment to suddenly you're on your own. Your bed, suddenly it's half empty. A lot of people say, I wake up and I look over and he's not there or she's not there. Again, it comes back to accepting and then adjusting. Now with the pandemic, we all had to accept that we've lost control to a certain extent. We have, if I told you all a year ago that we're going to be wearing masks, we're going to be told there's a curfew, we can only go to Mercadona and the pharmacy, when they tell us. You'd have thought I was cuckoo or some kind of, fruitcake. But here we are, 8 months in, 9 months in, we had to accept. There was no other way. If we didn't accept, then fear, anxiety, a lot of negative things would have come in. So we've had to accept, and now we've been adjusting. So we've all been adjusting, some people better than others, but that's the key, adjust. And then we come to accommodate. How do we now accommodate into our lives? And that's using all things positive. That's like, okay, this is now our situation. I've accepted it. I've adjusted to it. Now, how can I make the best of it? How can I move forward? And that's, again, doing things like having a routine in the morning, say with the pandemic, waking up, having a routine. For me, one of the things that I've noticed with all my hundreds of thousands of clients is to do some form of exercise, because always when you do some kind of activity, you have a shift. Hormones, like your serotonin, your dopamine, the happy hormones, your endorphins, everything comes alive. So you could be feeling really awful when you wake up, full of anxiety, full of fear. But the minute you get out, you go into nature. We're so lucky where we live here in Marbella. We've got paradise on our doorstep. Whether you go into the mountains or you go down to the beach, I can promise you within 10 minutes you'll have a shift. So whatever worries you've got, it's not that they disappear, but they lessen for the time that you give yourself your me time. And, I personally like to do yoga, Pilates, take a walk. And you know what? It sets me up for the whole day, and I promise it will do the same for you.
Well, it's absolutely fascinating, and it shows, just hearing you speak, that you empathise and understand in the sense of, obviously, how you can help. You see those areas, and I highly recommend that anyone who feels identified gets in touch with you, because that is your speciality, health and well-being, but not just physical, particularly the mental.
I'm passionate about mental health, more and more and more. In my own family, I've seen it. My teenage son went through some very difficult times. With social media, they're always comparing, they're always looking at who's doing what, or they weren't invited to this party, or this one, looks prettier than me, skinnier than me, all of that. So as much as social media has its place, it can also be super dangerous. So we have to minimize our time on social media. And even now, with all the news with the pandemic, we have to do our own due diligence. We have to look at what the news is, but then we need to take our own responsibility and not take everything at face value. And there's plenty of positive, real news. We just need to research. And that, again, is going to help your self-worth, it's going to help your happiness, it's going to help you feel safer, because you've done your own work. And then you'll find one or two speakers who you really connect with, and you'll start following them, and then you'll have real news that resonates with you. So that's really important.
Thank you so much for your advice, and I know we'll be seeing you very soon in the studio at RTV Marbella. Thank you so much, Kezia.
Thank you so much for having me.
We can change if we try.